Hey guys, it's Miss Wagers here. Whoop. And we are on Unit 2, Day 3, and our I can statement is I can decompose fractions. Now, decompose is just a fancy word that means break into parts. So we're going to talk more about that as we go. So let's say I have this fraction bar here. We could also call it a tape diagram. Okay, and I am going to shade in all 4 pieces. Notice that it's divided into 4 pretty equal pieces. Okay, I'm going to shade in all 4. If I shaded it in all 4, that means I've shaded in one hole. Okay? This whole thing is my hole. I've shaded in all the pieces, so I have one hole here. Okay? But I want to know how much each of these individual boxes is worth. Okay? Well, there are 4 pieces total, so that's my denominator. And this is one box, so it's worth 1/4. This box, again, there are still 4 pieces total, and it's only worth one box, so it's 1/4. So each of these boxes is worth 1/4. They're each 1/4 of the whole. Okay? Now when I put all 4 of those together, I have the one whole. Now a common mistake that some students will make when they're labeling these is they'll write 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. We're not doing a number line. We're only talking about how much each individual box is worth. This one individual box is not worth 3/4. It's only worth 1/4 of the whole. So we want to make sure we're labeling it accordingly. So I'm going to get that off the screen because that's a mistake. My light's turned off. Sorry, guys. Darn that motion sensor. So next we are going to fill out the number bond. Now the number bond is showing how this is broken apart. So my whole is what my whole thing is shaded in. So my whole is 1. That's what's going to go on this top. Now it's made up of individual parts. It's made up of parts that are 1/4. So I'm going to write 1/4 in each bond, okay? Because each box is worth 1/4. So I know 1 is made up of 4 groups of 1/4. The final way I could write this, so I could write it as an equation, I can say 1 equals 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. Notice that I always have 4 1/4 because that's what I shaded in here. I have 4 1/4 here, 4 1/4 here, and 4 1/4 here. Okay, so this is how I am decomposing a number. I'm decomposing 1 into 4 groups of 1/4. I broke it into 1/4 size pieces. Okay, decompose just means to break into pieces. Let's try one more. This time I have this broken into eighths. Okay, and I'm going to shade in 5/8 this time. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so again, I can label these. These are each worth 1/8 this time because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces, and each of these is 1 piece, so 1/8. Total, I shaded in 5 pieces, so total I have 5/8. Okay, because my whole is broken into 8 pieces, and I shaded in 5 total. So if I go down here to my number bond, I can write it as 5/8 is my total, my whole, what I'm working with here, and I can decompose that differently. So this time, instead of saying 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, I only have 4 circles here. So I could group 2 of these eighths together. So instead of calling it 1/8, if I have 2 together, I have 2/8. I'm going to call that 2/8, and then I could do singular. So 1/8 there, 1/8 here, 1/8 here, 1/8 here, and lastly 1/8 and 1/8. So 5/8 is made up of 2/8, 1/8, 1/8, and 1/8. So if I write my equation, that means 2/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 equals 5/8. eighths. Notice how the numerators add up to the numerator. So 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 5. Okay? Here, our numerators don't quite add up because we have a whole number here. Okay? I could also write 1 as 4 fourths, and then it would add up, right? Because 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. So that's a way that you can kind of check yourself. So 5/8, when I decompose it, I'm breaking it into parts. It's worth 5 1/8 size pieces. Or I could group some of those together as 2/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8. So when you're decomposing a fraction, that just means that you are breaking it into smaller pieces. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day.